Welcome to the Chew on This podcast. Join your host, Dr. Katie Chew, and her guests as they chew on what matters, one story at a time.
Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Chew on This podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Katie Chew. And today I have a special guest, Dr. Vin Dang. How are you?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great?
Yeah.
Well, I feel great. The fact that I got to do a presentation with you today.
I know, that was fun.
And what time was it that we had to be here?
We're 7.
7?
Yeah. You got here way earlier than I did.
Well, it's because I was always told to be 1 hour ahead,
I know,
before the event. And so we co-presented on behalf of Bao Shalom this morning, and he represented pharma, and I did the vision care portion of it at the COA, California Optometric Association, House of Delegates. And I think it went really well.
No, I think we did great.
Yeah.
Considering it was our first time.
First time,
we meshed well.
We did mesh well.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't rehearse, but we did have our thoughts aligned, and I think that was what worked.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about, in my opinion, about passion for what we do, right?
Yeah,
and so, and I think the audience could feel that from us, and so it went really well.
Yeah, it's easy when you're talking about something that you're passionate about. It's not like it doesn't feel rehearsed because it's you're talking from the heart.
Exactly. There's this phrase I've been using. It's all about the hard work behind the hard work. I've been really embracing that throughout everything I do. So can you share a little bit with my followers about yourself?
Yeah. So most people won't realize, and apparently you just kind of found out as well, but I was born and raised in France.
Specifically
Paris. Yes, or Paris. But obviously I'm not French. We are Chinese Vietnamese. So my parents were of Chinese descent. So my grandparents are Chinese. My parents are Vietnamese-born Chinese. And they lived there until they were right after the war, so in the 60s. And then they immigrated to France, and that's where myself and my siblings were all born. We were born in France. I lived in there until I was about 15 years old. And then when our whole family that was in Vietnam, they left Vietnam, they kind of got separated. Kind of like a lot of the Chinese immigrants.
Yeah.
They some of them went to the U.S., some of them went to Europe, and so the majority of our family actually got picked up in the Philippines by the U.S. So then they went to the U.S. and it took my parents 10 years to immigrate from France to the U.S.
I see.
So that's why we kind of ended up in France first. And then we lived on the East Coast first in Connecticut with my aunt who sponsored us to come over. And so I did most of my high school in Connecticut. And then that's when I moved to the San Gabriel Valley, right? So then, because my grandma on my mom's side lived in San Gabriel, actually. So then
and just FYI, I mean, that's one of our connections, right?
Yes,
my followers, they've heard a lot about San Gabriel Valley
Sure.
and the 66 area code and my practice being in Rosemead.
Yes.
And so I think you had shared Arcadia,
Yes,
was it?
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
then, so my cell phone number has a 66 area code. So then Katie was like, oh, hey, you have a 66 area code. Are you from the San Gabriel Valley area?
Yeah.
So then we actually moved to Arcadia. But the house that we lived in, the school district was El Monte. So then, as we are aware, El Monte doesn't have as good as a school district. So then we used my grandma's address, which is in the San Gabriel Valley, and I went to Gabrielino, which is one of the schools in San Gabriel.
It's just up the street from my practice.
Exactly.
You need to stop by at my
Yes.
practice one of these days. So where does Grandma live right now?
Well, so Grandma passed.
Oh, I'm
unfortunately.
sorry.
Yeah, but she lived, off of San Gabriel. Which
Okay.
is one of the streets.
Yeah.
So literally walking distance to Gabrielino. So that's why we ended up there.
So my practice is on San Gabriel Boulevard.
Oh, no way.
And the cross street is Garvey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're just further south.
Just a little bit. Just
so
a little bit.
We were just kind of between Mission and Valley.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know exactly where that is. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The world is just so small,
It is.
and just listening to how much travel you've done in your younger years, it's I'm sure it has left a, how should I say it, a deeper understanding of
Culture.
of cultures and just possibilities.
Yes, yeah.
Possibilities.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. And then
Right?
I'd like to think that also in terms of like resiliency and
Yeah.
you know, learning and mingling and networking
Yeah.
and things like that. Just
Yeah.
having the ability to just kind of go up to people and being extroverted as well, I think
Yeah.
definitely helps.
So where
as
did you
well.
go for university?
So yeah, so I went to University of California, San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, so did 4 years there, and then during I actually, it was funny. I went into college thinking that I was going to be a computer science major, right? Because it was like 99, you know, right around the time when like, you know, everybody
very
wanted
hot,
to be very
yes.
hot.
Yeah.
And fortunately, and I guess unfortunate, at that time that major was closed. So I actually went to UCSD undeclared.
Oh, it's impacted.
It was impacted. There was so many
Oh.
CS majors that it was closed. So I went undeclared, and I was like, well, maybe I want to be an astronaut. And so I decided.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's-
So I declared
think that's
aerospace
phenomenal.
engineering. So I was an aerospace engineering,
Yeah.
and being that, you know, Asian, I could handle the math, but the engineering level physics was just too much. It was too hard. So that I did it for 2 quarters, and I was like, oh, this is not for me. And I kind of like, oh, I kind of like bio. Let me do some bio. And then I actually went to a career fair, and then there was like a lot of healthcare professionals, you know, medical doctor, pharmacists, dentists, optometrists, and that's when I got my interest peaked into optometry.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So was that first year or second year?
It was
it early
towards
on?
the end. Yeah,
Oh,
it
towards
was,
the
yeah,
end.
towards the end of my first
Ah.
year. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's when I went.
Yeah.
And I had already most of the prerequisites. I just needed to kind of do a little bit more focus on the, you know, the biology and things like that. And I liked those subjects at the time, so it was easy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when I was listening to you mentioning about the engineering physics, so I went to UCLA.
Oh, sure.
So we probably had a very similar type of course tracks, right? There was physics for healthcare,
Yes.
and then there was physics for engineers. And so I went into UCLA with a bio major.
Sure.
But here's the thing. I think I just wanted to torture myself. I told myself, keep your options open. So I chose the engineering physics.
Wow.
It was hard.
It is.
It is hard.
Very hard,
And but I stuck to it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
But then later on, I did switch majors from bio to psychobio. So
Okay.
I was much happier bringing in that human aspect of psychobiology and
very
taking
cool.
a lot of neuro classes and human behavioral classes, and
interesting.
it just made it a lot more
Yeah.
fun. Okay, so you're also an optometrist,
Yes.
right? And so where did you go to optometry school?
So I after UC San Diego, I went to SCCO.
Okay.
Or now
My
known as-
alma mater.
Yeah. So I went to SCCO, did 4 years of optometry school there, and you know, just kind of fell in love of work. During my last year, you know, we do the clinical rotations, and one of those clinical rotations was at a, you know, OD, MD, co-management type of sites, which is kind of a referral based, and kind of fell in love with that type of setting. But you know, afterwards, it was also during my 4th year, I actually worked at a retail shop. So I actually worked for lens crafters.
Oh.
Under the pretense that after I graduated from school, they would hire me as an optometrist. So,
Yeah.
And they did. So then they kind of offered me a position. At the time, it was, you know, around the, you know, San Gabriel Valley area. So they're like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, if you want to work as an optometrist in the San Gabriel Valley, we have some places in Arcadia, we have some places in San Gabriel. We can go ahead and have you. But if you're interested in, you know, seeing a little bit more disease, seeing a little bit more, you know, more higher volume, we have this place in Bakersfield, California.
I was going to ask you, how did
So-
you not end up, but how did you find your way to Bakersfield?
Sure. And that's
so
that's how it was.
I love it. So it was also through LensCrafters.
It was 100% through LensCrafters. Yep. So I started.
What a great story.
So I landed right after school. I landed at the LensCrafters in Bakersfield. At the time, I was like, oh, where's, it's kind of like what everyone says in California. I was like, oh, where's Bakersfield? Is that like on the way to Vegas, or is it, a lot of people confuse it with Baker.
Yeah.
But at the time we were like, hey, that might be a great stepping stone. We wanted to, just kind of maybe stay there for a couple of years, and then kind of maybe eventually kind of move back to the San Gabriel Valley area.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like 2009, right? 2009, Great Recession. You got the housing bubble burst and all of that stuff. Everything went down, and it's funny now that we joke. We tell people that are in Bakersfield. We tell them, hey, we're on year 18 of our 2-year plan. So, yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So did you? Are you still with LensCrafters?
No,
okay,
no, obviously not, and not anymore with LensCrafters. So then I did 2 years with LensCrafters, and then during those 2 years, I was heavily seeing a lot of disease, and I was referring a lot of these patients that I was seeing, because up there in Bakersfield, you're kind of like almost like a silo, right? Because it's like the big city with a lot of like surrounding, smaller towns and smaller communities. So, anytime anybody has any problems, they're like, okay, I have an eye problem, and they recognize the name, right? They're like, oh, LensCrafters, I should just go to LensCrafters and get my eyes checked. So I saw a lot of disease. And then I was referring a lot of these patients to this ophthalmology practice called Empire Eye and Laser Center. And 2 years into my working at LensCrafters, one of the owners said, hey, you've been sending us a lot of patients, and you've been pretty much spot on with your diagnosis and referrals. We're looking to hire a medical optometrist. Would you be interested in coming and jumping and work for us? And that was 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Very,
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if you guys can feel it, but I'm sitting here and I'm listening to him, and I'm watching as he's telling his story, and I can feel that you love it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in a good space,
You're
right?
in a great space. I get to practice, full scope. I get to help patients on a day-to-day basis. And I love what I do because I get to, I get to play like a investigator, diagnostician, right? Because now that I'm focusing a lot more on dry eye and allergies, and I'm always trying to figure out like, okay, what's wrong with the patient? Patients are like, I'm coming in and something's bothering me, and it allows me to just kind of use my skill to kind of figure out exactly what's wrong with them, which is every day is different, which is exciting.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of told you what we normally do on my podcast. We have hard chews and we have soft chews. And so I am going to have you pull the easy questions, the more fun questions first, right? Because I am going to be nice to you since you're my guest.
All right.
All right. And then we're going to each take turns answering it.
Sure. So the soft chews is, what hobby makes you lose track of time? Oh, this is a good one. You can't see this, but I am actually a big fan of pickleball. If you know me, you know that I'm actually play a lot of pickleball. So pickleball is a sport, and it's funny because I'm wearing actually pickleball socks.
Oh, wow.
That's how much I love this sport.
Wow.
I'm actually wearing sock wear.
It actually says dink.
Yes, so dink is a type of stroke that you play when you're playing.
They're very colorful.
Yes. So pickleball is it's kind of like a blend between tennis and ping pong and badminton. I've been playing it for about 6 years now, when it wasn't cool.
Are you competitive?
I'm very competitive.
Okay.
I came actually, so my sport before pickleball used to be table tennis. So I actually used to play. You can't tell from my 6'5" height. And they were like, what would you be playing, some type of like, paddle sport instead of like basketball or something like that. But growing up in France, my parents I wasn't always this tall, believe it or not.
So you had a huge growth spurt?
I had a huge growth spurt.
Of how many inches?
So I mean.
Like 3 inches in one summer?
I grew 3 inches in college.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
in
in
college.
yeah. So I was 6'2" in high school, and then when I went to college, I grew like 3 more inches. I'm 6'5" now. So yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
So not to interrupt you, but
yeah.
when you first walked up to me, right?
Yeah.
You know, most people, they'll be like, you know, meeting at eye level, or, you know, I looked up and I kept looking up and I kept,
Yeah.
hi.
Yes. So I used to play a lot of table tennis. So growing up in France, I actually would play table tennis. We would play soccer, you know, obviously a big thing in France. But I played table tennis, and as when I came to the U.S., I kind of kept with it and played competitive table tennis. But when I was playing in Bakersfield, there wasn't a lot of like younger people that was playing table tennis. So I was playing with like a lot of older people, which is fine. But then one of our friend introduced us to pickleball, and kind of all of our friends kind of got into it, and it's very social. It's very nice, and it's kind of like, have you heard about pickleball right now?
Yes, yeah. I have. I personally haven't played pickleball. My daughter, my older daughter, does play pickleball. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, not yet. One of these days, one of these days.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's not as intimidating as some of the other racket sports,
Yeah, I just heard that you're not playing on a full court, right? So there's less running.
Exactly. And then you serve underhand, and it's a wiffle ball instead of a tennis ball.
And you don't have to necessarily bring somebody, because when you do show up, there's always going to be
always people.
Yeah, and you rotate in, right?
Yes.
So that's
and
that's
the
nice.
community is very welcoming.
Yeah.
There's always people willing to teach new beginners.
Yeah.
And then it's
the reason why I asked if you were competitive, because I did meet somebody on one of my travels, and then she was telling me that she was traveling to this country, to this country, to this country, and I thought it was part of her normal traveling.
Sure.
And it was through pickleball.
Oh wow.
Like that type of travel.
Yeah. It's definitely very, very popular in Asia right now. So a lot of countries in Asia, Vietnam, China.
Interesting.
It's just, it's blowing up over there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what hobby makes you lose track of time. And it sounds weird to say this, but like, I don't know if I have something that I would call a hobby, because I think what I've incorporated in my life, they're like routines that I don't know if it's necessarily a hobby. I love listening to music. Is that considered a hobby?
It is. It can be, yeah.
Yeah, and the music that I like to listen to, it's usually my car rides. But it's interesting that when the lyrics are being said or sang out, the hobby part of it is that in my mind, I turn the words to where they're being spoken to me.
Okay, that's cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like they speak to you.
Yeah, and it's such a great feeling.
Yeah. Do you listen to like any type of specific?
So here's the thing:
like
is
Christian
that
music,
so here's the thing: I will listen to pop music, but not pop Christian.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will turn it to where it's a Christian song in my mind.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean by and I've been doing this for the last few years now, and it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you like to go to like concerts and stuff? Or?
Yes, but I haven't gone to one in recent years. I probably 2 to 3 concerts all the way up until like COVID. COVID really changed things around.
Sure.
Yeah, but my last concert was February of 2020.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was a Gwen Stefani concert.
Oh, wow.
And that was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Was it in LA somewhere? Or?
It was in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But literally this was February and the shutdown was March.
Yes.
So
I remember well. We were supposed to go on my wife and I were supposed to go to Japan, March of 2020.
Yeah.
It was all booked. Everything was and then we just had to cancel. So.
Well, you want to hear what I did? I was actually on a cruise.
Oh, during COVID?
In February.
Okay.
Before Valentine's, in early part of February, I had a cruise that left from Singapore,
Okay.
went to Thailand,
Wow.
Vietnam,
Some people would say
and
ground zero.
Cambodia, and then it was supposed to end in Hong Kong.
Okay.
But because of COVID, they had told us Hong Kong was already going to be not part of the itinerary, and that we were going to start in Singapore and then loop back to Singapore. However, as we were cruising, we made it to Thailand, we made it to Cambodia, but Vietnam, by that time, on our cruise, did not want us.
Yeah.
And so we ended up floating on water for 4 days because no country wanted to take us in. But nobody was sick. That's why we didn't make it on the news. But Thailand took us in. And so everything is fine since I'm here. Okay, I am going to pull a hard shoe. What have you had to unlearn to grow?
So that's a good one. For me, it's I've done a lot in the last, I'd say 5 to 6 years to grow as a person. You know, going through like therapy and talking to people, talking to professionals, to just to learn more about myself, and I've learned to let go. Right, so and not take things personally, right? Because it would sort of put me in a sort of like this defensive mode where it's just like, oh, I feel like people are criticizing me, and I feel like the need to defend myself, and then it would just kind of turn into like an argument, because it's just like I'm trying to defend myself, and what the other person is just kind of saying things to say the things, but it's not an attack on me. And for me, it's learning that difference. Right? It's learning the difference between, okay, well, you did this. I'm telling you, you did this because of the action, not because you did it because you're a bad person. So learning that difference for me has helped me grow a lot. To be able to let go and say, hey, okay, so she's not criticizing me, she's criticizing my action. She doesn't like the action, and then learning that my action has consequences, right, in terms of the way it makes other people feel, right? So being aware of that as well, because it's just before it was just kind of like, knowing that my intentions are good. I know that my intentions are good, and people, they may think that the intentions are good, but the thing is that regardless if the intention was good or not, it had a consequence. The consequence was that person's feelings got hurt, even if your intentions were good. Recognizing that's another one of those growth areas where I've learned to, okay, well, be aware that I'm whatever I did hurt their feelings, and I need to.
Is that a little bit of also like empathy?
It is empathy, right? Awareness.
Yeah.
It's just being mindful, right? Being mindful, and then just being aware that it's not. My wife has this saying, it's not always about you, right?
Yeah.
It's about, other people and what you did and how it affected other people. So I think that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and I tell my therapist, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I embrace therapy so wholeheartedly. I introduced therapy to my children early on because I recognized that if there's anything that is part of like life's struggles, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've told my daughters that when they were young, that I don't have all the answers. And if I don't have all the answers, it is okay to find help.
Yeah.
To find resources.
Absolutely.
And they've also learned that too. So they also embrace therapy because it's such a good way to have somebody else who is, more objective and to give us the tools that we need to help us better facilitate our lives.
Absolutely.
And so I'm thinking to myself, I've gone through a lot of therapy myself. And what have I had to unlearn to grow? I think the biggest one, which I've shared with my listeners, is just unlearning the things that my parents had taught me, which was there were a lot of things, but one of the things was that I shouldn't be doing that. Be careful, because you're a girl. You know, it was more like, and so I think that's always stayed with me, that because I'm a girl, I can't do hard things.
Sure.
More so not because of that I'm not smart.
Sure.
It was more that my parents wanted to shelter me and make sure that I remained safe in a safe space. So that didn't allow me to grow.
Yeah.
And I think I've broken through that back in 2025, and I'm still also work in progress. So I'm excited to see like what else more I can do once I've understood that these are all things that I need to unlearn.
Sure.
So,
it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, those generational things that you're talking about, like the,
and cultural.
Right. I mean, for us, for me, like being a parent now is just kind of like unlearning the things your parent did and not doing the same thing to your own kids.
Yeah.
I think those.
I'm being very mindful of that. Things that, I try not to repeat.
True.
And so
Break that cycle.
you want to pull a soft chew?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to check something here. Sorry. I just worry about the battery. Okay. I just wanted to wait at a safe spot because my editor will make sure we'll be able to.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to unwind after a busy week? It's funny because my therapist will say that it's that I don't like to do nothing. I'm the type of people that's just like go. Even on the weekend,
I can relate.
I'm
100%.
trying to be productive, and so for me right now, it's just learning and being okay with doing nothing, and then just sit and do nothing. Whether it's like maybe listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook.
Well, I know a good podcast that you can listen to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So those are the type of things. It's just being okay with doing nothing, because I am so trying to be productive. It's like on the weekend, it's like, okay, all right, we got to do laundry, we got to clean the house, we got to, let's go on a hike, let's do.
You have to fill up
things.
every single moment with something to do, right?
Exactly. My wife is just like, can we just rot and do nothing and just veg? Yeah. So I'm trying to be more mindful about that and being okay with it.
Yeah. So my answer is going to be similar to what you just said. I'm going to use the word fantasy, okay? I used to always fantasize a nap. Like,
it's hard.
I can't take a nap.
Sure.
Like everybody else would say, oh, I napped in the afternoon. I never knew what that meant because I would always say, okay, I'm going to try napping.
Yeah.
But I just never.
Like it's a waste of time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because I was filling it up with everything else. So I've been practicing napping.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Napping is great. I love napping.
Yeah, but I never did that until this year.
Sure.
Or 2025, towards the tail end of 2025, if it's a little bit of a nice, day, and I could be out doing things.
Sure.
I'm like, you know what? I start to like listen to my body a little bit more now, and I'm like, you know what? You did a lot this week. You flew back and forth and all that stuff. You deserve a nap.
Yes.
And I just crawl right into bed, and then my two dogs hop onto the bed with me, and then I take like an hour nap.
Yeah.
But it feels good now.
Feels good.
I don't feel guilty. I used to be, I think that's what it was, that taking a nap is not productive. And no,
it's not allowed.
Yeah, but no, it is definitely allowed right now.
Awesome.
I love it. So, all right, I'm going to go on to a hard one. Oh, they're kind of stuck. All right, let me see. Here we go. How do you stay grounded when life feels overwhelming?
That's a good one. That's another good one.
How do you stay grounded?
I've been working on that because I personally actually have a hard time feeling overwhelmed.
A hard time feeling overwhelmed.
Yes.
Whoa, most
yes.
people it's the other way.
No,
They feel
yes,
overwhelmed and like, I don't want to feel that way.
Yes, yes. So I think it's because of my personality of like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, and I'm very methodical, right? And I'm very just okay, like here's my to-do list, and I'm all about checking stuff off my to-do list. So I have a hard time feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, I can see that now.
But my therapist will say that it's like, well, and my wife actually will remind me that it's like, I do experience it in other ways. And what I mean by that is that like being stressed and being overwhelmed, it shows in different aspects as like maybe in my patience. Like my patience will be shorter. Because I'm overwhelmed, even though I don't necessarily feel like I'm overwhelmed, but then like I'll have a shorter temper towards like my kids at home.
Okay.
Or if I'm stressed at work, then it'll affect me at home. I'll be short with my wife, and then she'll be able to recognize that. She'll be like, okay, something's going on at work because this past week you've been extremely short with me. You're not like your usual self. So I think that I have a hard time recognizing that I'm overwhelmed, and that's something that I'm working on as well.
Yeah.
And I think that the people around me help me stay grounded.
I was just going to say, good job for your wife to like, hold the mirror to you, right?
Yes,
because that's why I've been saying this to myself. It's like and you have children, right?
Yeah,
so
2 boys,
we realize that when we raise our children, that it takes a village,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And how old are your children?
9 and 11.
9 and 11. So they're young.
Yes.
Okay, so I have adult children.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm kind of in a different phase in my life. I'm in this phase right now where I realize it took a village to raise our children, but now I'm in a phase where I need a village to raise me.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when I heard you talk about your wife and holding this mirror to you, that's part of the village, right? That's because you can't do it alone. There's no way that we can grow isolated,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And
It's very hard.
it is very hard. And so I lean on my village as I'm a work in progress. So I'm thinking, how do you stay grounded when life feels overwhelming? And I guess as you were talking, I was like, how can you not get overwhelmed? But I started hearing a lot of me in you when you said that checklist, and so my overwhelming would come in other manners, right? And one of them would be hangry, right? Because I'm doing so much that I'm pushing my breakfast, I'm not having breakfast, and then I don't have lunch. And then finally when it comes to dinner, it's like all of a sudden, like, not that I get angry, but I end up
Easily frustrated.
yes. And it's because I'm hungry, right? And that's part of the overwhelmed, right? If I wasn't overwhelmed with all these to-do tasks, then I would have had time to eat.
Snack, eat.
Exactly. And so I am being mindful to make sure that I have a good lunch. And especially in the San Gabriel Valley, I used to have only 30 minutes for lunch. Then I made it to 1 hour. Now I have an hour and a half.
Oh, that's
and the
great.
reason is because I tell myself, in the San Gabriel Valley, there is so much
Good
ethnic
stuff.
food
So much.
that I am going to
Enjoy
go
it.
and
Try it all.
have my pho ga,
Yeah.
that which is chicken noodle soup in Vietnamese, and enjoy myself, with some spring rolls and a Vietnamese iced coffee. Give me that caffeine. So
Enjoy the simple things in life.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's I'm trying to learn that way as well, because growing up in Europe, that's how it is. They work so that they can live. Here it's like the mentality in the US is more like you live to work, right? So it's just like you work, and you take your homework, and then you don't really take your vacations. You got all these accrued PTO, you don't use it.
Yeah.
But in Europe, it's like they get like 6-7 weeks.
they work to live. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to start, I feel like I'm already embracing that. I'm embracing that.
Yeah.
All right, you pull a soft chew.
All right. What is your favorite vacation you've ever taken? Ooh, that's a good one. So I was just talking to my driver about this yesterday. So my wife and I, probably about 10 years ago, decided that we were not going to do any more like material things, like anniversary, birthdays, Christmas, Valentine's Day. We're not going to get gifts for each other because we already have all the things that we want, and if we want to buy them, we're going to buy them ourselves. So then we say, hey, we're just going to spend it on experiences.
I love that.
So we decided in 2018 when Cuba was open, we got to Cuba, go to Cuba. So we went to Cuba for 10 days. And it was the most awesome experience that I've ever. We did 6 days in Havana, which is like the city capital in old Havana, and got to see. And it's just time froze. They're like stuck in the 60s.
Yeah.
And as soon as everybody left in the 60s, they just kind of got disconnected from the world. And it's just so they've got these cars that are from the 60s. They've got. And it was just such a cool experience. The Cubans are very, very friendly, very safe. At the time when we went, and we didn't realize this, the embassy was shut down. The U.S. embassy got shut in Cuba, right? So we didn't know that, and we still went.
Yeah.
But now that we've gone, we know that it's very safe, very good, no problems.
Yeah, without an embassy open, if anything were to happen, you don't have an advocate for you guys, right?
Exactly.
So
But we got to, we very, very safe. We go out and have dinner, great food, great people. We also,
Beautiful.
great beach area. So we did city, and then the last 3 days we went to like a resort town with beach, and it was such a very cool experience. And then because they're so disconnected, you are yourself disconnected from the world. So there's no cell phone, cell phone, no Wi-Fi unless you buy a Wi-Fi card, and you have to go to a specific park to get the Wi-Fi. So their infrastructure is kind of stuck. So we were unplugged, and it felt so good to just be able to just be there with my wife and connect. So that was our favorite vacation.
Wow. Wow. So it was a true, I went to a retreat that was called Unplugged, but it sounds like this was a real destination where you couldn't do anything other than unplug.
Yes.
For me, I think, there's two vacations, and it's hard to, because they're so different. I'm still struggling to choose which one. I am going to mention my trip to India. I think I've been to probably over 40 plus countries. And I went to India about 2 years ago with my younger daughter before she joined the military. She's in the Marines.
Oh, okay.
And so before she joined the military or go off to boot camp, her and I went to India, and we were there for 2 weeks, and it was
eye-opening.
Yeah, I just
I've been to India as well.
And I came back more at peace, and I think it's because spiritually, I recognized, that whatever faith you have, right? The essence of humanity, I felt that in India, because if you want something good to come to you, you have to be good to that person, others. But I hesitated on that because it could be an inanimate object.
Sure.
It's called respect, because I was on the airplane with a woman from India, and she was returning to India, and I was going there to visit, right? Sure. And so she was returning, she was sitting next to me, and she did a little prayer every so often. And at some point, we got talking, and then I asked her about, and it was because she said that her foot would kick her purse, because, her bag was under the seat in front of her, and she had to respect her bag because the bag held belongings that are, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so she was basically apologizing to the bag. And my point is that I realized that in India, the culture, the people, it was so respectful, you know, and when you don't have much, but you have so much to give,
Sure.
it just reminded me that there's so much to learn from the Indian culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a
love
lot
it.
of volunteer work.
I love it.
In third world countries. So I've been to India, and it's to your point. It's very amazing how little people can live on and still be very grateful and thankful for the little things that you have.
Yeah.
And just and just be happy.
Yeah.
Right? And just being content. Right?
Yeah.
So
They can see their life filled with abundance. You know, but because their definition of abundance is so different
Yes.
from the materialistic
Exactly.
side
Exactly.
of Westerners, or however you want to,
Exactly.
you know. And so so that was my favorite trip.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
All right, one more round, and I think because I'm being respectful of your time, and I think you have places to go and things to check off on your list.
Yes.
Which one did we just do? We did
just
an
did a
easy one.
easy one,
Okay,
yeah.
so one hard one, and then I think we should be done. All right, let's see what this one's going to be. What life experience most shaped the person you've become today?
I think I would say my parents immigrating from France to the U.S. You know, for me, it's I think that me experiencing that they were willing to give up. They had a very comfortable life
In France?
Very comfortable. I mean, they had been there for 10 years. My mom was working at a hotel, and she was like, you know, a manager there. My dad had his own convenience store in Chinatown. So they were great, very happy family and things like that. And just seeing them sacrifice that for us, I think that it endured me, and it made me like, you know, have the drive to succeed, to kind of almost like pay them back and say, hey, you know, they've sacrificed so much for us. We need to take care of them. We need to, you know, repay them in some ways. And I think that it's allowed me to you know, just be who I am today because of that opportunity that I had.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did you ever get a chance to voice it?
I do, and I'm sure you're kind of aware of this. You know, the Asian culture is especially, you know, my parents' generation. It's not a lovey-dovey. It's not. It's
No.
very few words. You know, but it's and I'm trying to break that cycle. You know, I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know, hey, thank you for do all the things that you've done, and you know, I think my language, my love language is act of service. So for me, it's like, you know, taking them time off from work to take them to doctors if I need to, and you know, whenever they call, is just gonna drop everything that I need to drop and go do whatever they need.
Yeah.
So it's just paying them back in that way and showing them that, hey,
We're very similar in that respect. You know, mine is act of service, and I even with my busy time, you know, Mondays is a half day for me to see patients, and so, but people don't know this. The rest of the day, I go visit my aunt, who's like in her late 80s, and she's not doing very well. And so I go to her house, and I spend time with her, talk with her, and I'm usually there for a good 4 hours.
Oh well, yeah.
And
that's time.
Yeah, but
sure they cherish that.
But it's you know, it gives, how should I say it? I think at that point in your life, like my aunt, you know, it's just these visits are so precious for her. And so all right, I don't know what I'm gonna say to that question. What was it? The experience that most shaped the person I've become today. I'm gonna have to say the moment that I made a decision to divorce my children's father. that's when I broke the cycle of abuse. It was very bold, and I didn't see it at that time. I see it now so clearly that I was strong. I left when my children were 1 and 3 years old.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I left a man that was horrible. And my followers know that my mother was an abuser when I was growing up. And because of that, I married into...
Similar style.
Yes, yes. But I am going to say this, hands down, this man was worse than my mother. And so what I'm trying to say is that leaving him gave my children the ability to live. I can't even imagine if I had stayed in that marriage and subjected my children to the abuse of this man. It's just, so yeah, I'm going to keep it short, but that is the moment where it changed everything for me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult life decision not to make, to kind of, break up with the person that you thought you were going to stay for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think I've always had hope. I always had hope, and I used to think that I got myself in these situations or these relationships because I was weak.
Sure.
I don't see it that way anymore. I was never weak. I was just hopeful.
Sure.
So, yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm trying to kind of softly end this because I'm getting teary-eyed right now, and it is a soft spot, when I have to, remember those times. But soft doesn't mean that, I am retreating into that space. It's a reminder that I need to keep moving forward. And so, but you've shared a lot
thank you
today, and I appreciate you and your time. And as a reminder, we are literally at a House of Delegates meeting. So, all right. Well, thank you again for joining me and Din on this
Friday.
On this Friday. It's Friday, right?
Yes.
And so enjoy the weekend, and always remember to live your life purposefully, see your life clearly, and lead boldly. All right. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.